There are three things I would like to share with you about our next speaker. Number one, this City Club member has devoted nearly all of his adult life to public service, with a special emphasis on education. His appearance here today underscores his enormous commitment to the education of our children. Number two, he has the courage to take on the toughest issues: education, public safety, and the budget. And number three, and Skinny alluded to this, every time that the City Club of Chicago has asked him to help out or speak at Misericordia or the Special Olympics or any of our civic or charitable events, he's agreed on the spot. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Mayor? All right, have fun
up here. Jay, thank you. I can say this with all confidence. There is nobody named at the synagogue named Skinny. So thank you. Skinny, what will be your donation this year? That does not happen at the temple. So thank you. I am here to introduce a great leader and somebody who I can, both David and I can call our partner. Barbara knows that there's no more important mission for this city than the education of our children. And that's why today is a special day, not only for her speech, but a special day for all of us who are committed to this great city, because we've achieved a great milestone. One for the record books: 63% of our children are going to graduate high school, which is a new record for the city. And that beats last year's record, and it's a great testament to that, and that also, that is a 20% increase from where we were just 10 years ago. We are pointing in the right direction, making the right decisions for our children. Now, what is also, I know for a fact, as Barbara and I have talked, while that's a great milestone, Barbara shares my view that we are not satisfied with that. We have a lot more work ahead of us to achieve more for our children and make sure we have better graduations year in and year out, and that will be the true test of what our reforms are for. In addition to that, while we're here to talk about K through 12, I do want to note that just a couple weeks ago, that we also had another milestone in the city. We had the largest and best graduation for our community colleges ever in the last 20 years. And since we're on milestones, starting next year, something that Barbara and I and David and on the whole board decided that we needed to do, next year will be the first year that every child in the city of Chicago who starts at kindergarten will get a full day of kindergarten, every child in the city of Chicago, which means that no longer does education begin in first grade, it starts at kindergarten, which is the first time for the city of Chicago. And what I'm also in addition proud because of what Barbara did and what David did and the board, we did not wait for Springfield and we did not wait for Washington. We knew that it was imperative that our children get a head start on their education, which means starting next year, every child, usually 10,000 children used to get a half a day of kindergarten when their parents wanted a full day. We made some reforms in the budget and put those resources where it counts most, starting education in the earliest of years. Now, we can go on and talk about other accomplishments. I want Barbara to do that. Other types of things that we're focused on in the sense of our pre-K, our early childhood education, what we're doing to make sure more parents have choice and we have rigorous academic standards. But there's nothing I can tell you more than this one anecdote. Last week on Thursday, Barbara and I spent the morning at Brenneman School, one of the receiving schools. And we met a great principal who over the last 6 years took a school from 29% of their kids meeting or exceeding the state standards to 73%. Now, usually when I go into school, like I did this morning at LaSalle Language Academy, you get all the kids are all excited and worked up. You were down the hall when Barbara went into the 8th grade class. You heard this shriek. Now, if you had a shriek like that, it was usually in my dad's pediatric practice, not in a classroom. How excited the kids were to see the CEO of our school system. The type of energy, the type of connection, and the kind of intimacy between the students and our CEO speaks volumes of her leadership, volumes of her commitment to our children. There is no more important mission for this city than make sure that every child, regardless of where they live, regardless of what their background, has a shot at a great education. Because if we give every child the type of education they deserve, there is nothing that can stop this great city. And we are fortunate to have a leader in Byrd-Bennett, or as we like to call, B3, as our partner in making sure that the type of priorities we have for our children are the policies of our city. Ladies and gentlemen, Byrd-Bennett.
Good afternoon. We're going to play school. When I'm in a classroom and you start the class, everybody responds as if they're very peppy. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's indeed wonderful to be invited to return to the City Club. To Jay and Professor Green, I thank you for presiding over today's event. Mayor Emanuel, what can I say? Thank you for the introduction and for your confidence in my leadership. And I also thank you for your support during what were incredibly challenging times during the past several months, and your commitment to the work and to our children. We know that we must do everything we can and get the kind of support that we have from you to make sure that our children are successful. And for you, I thank you on a professional and personal level. Thank you. And to everyone who's taken time from your busy day today to be here, please know that your presence is a testimony to your interest in public education in our city, and for this I thank you on the behalf of the children that we serve. As many of you know, it's graduation time, it's graduation season in Chicago, and it's a time of enormous pride for me, but most importantly, it's a time of tremendous pride for parents, teachers, principals, and our students. In hundreds of our schools, in every neighborhood of our city, young people who have worked hard are moving forward. Graduation day is their day to shine, to celebrate with their family and their friends and their teachers and their principals. There's a tremendous sense of accomplishment for every single one of our children who graduates, and it's a time of hope and a time to look forward to the future. Every child who graduates, we should see as a victory for Chicago, because we are one city with a shared belief in the power of education to transform lives. When a child succeeds, it represents our collective success, and we've done something together that's meaningful and something that makes us stronger and better. It holds so much promise for the future of our city. And as I envision these young graduates walking across the stage to receive their diploma, it gives me time to pause and to reflect and to ask myself a fundamental question. Is Chicago ready to graduate? Can we graduate from a school system of yesterday to a school system of tomorrow? Can we, Chicago, can we move beyond the battles of the past and come together to meet the challenges for the future? And can we unite around a common set of beliefs and strategies and enter into a covenant to leverage our collective strength so that more young people, many more young people, will be able to walk across the stage prepared to be successful in college, career, and in life. So many of our schools are thriving, and some are among the very best in the state of Illinois and the best in this country. But too many others are not meeting the standards that we expect. Some have failed our students year after year. And as the CEO of this district, I cannot accept that. Both the parents of the children who rely on their schools to be their passports to the future, and to the taxpayers of Chicago, you should not accept this. I believe parents must have a choice of schools within the public school system. Whether that choice is a neighborhood school, or a contract school, or a charter school, every school must meet the high standards that we set. And this is why we are closing 4 underperforming charter schools next year. And we have just experienced the school consolidation process. I know the painful experience when a school is closed. Even when a school is closed because of underutilization, and even when, as a result, we might get better at targeting our limited resources, I still know the pain. And we must make sure that our students and parents who experience the anguish of these changes benefit by schools that provide better quality education. And I will hold everyone who works for the district accountable for meeting those expectations. The resources we save through the consolidations are going to be reinvested in our welcoming schools. And we will make absolutely sure that our children are safe on their way to and from school, whether they're going to a new welcoming school or whether it is the school that they have attended before. We will never deliberately put our children's safety at risk. And the district and the Chicago Police Department are working closely to guarantee the safety for every child in the city. In fact, nearly every city agency and department is stepping up to do their part, as we all have a role to play in keeping our children safe. As a part of our work around safe passages, streets, and sanitation, we'll help to clean up the empty lots along those routes. Transportation will repair the busted sidewalks. Buildings will board the open and abandoned buildings and properties where needed. And Consumer Affairs, CTA, Fire, Parks, and many others will be a part of this collective, coordinated effort to ensure that children have safe routes to and from school every day. Over the course of this summer, we will finalize the specific safety plans for each welcoming school. And I want to underscore that these plans are not generic. They are specific for each school. And in each case, we have involved the members of that community to rebuild the neighborhood that surrounds the schools. This is a challenge for everyone because the safety of our children is the responsibility of every adult. I recognize that there is much skepticism about whether we'll be able to do this. There may be some skeptics right here in this room. But let me remind you of the progress we've already made this year. The Chicago School District has moved from having one of the shortest days. I was absolutely amazed when I arrived at how short the school day was. And yet we had expectations that were incredibly high for our children and not a sufficient time. Well, we've moved a long way, thanks to the mayor, from having one of the shortest school days in this country to a longer day. And we are currently working to ensure that we make good use of that additional time for our children. Starting when school opens, we will have full-day kindergarten for every child. We have a new teacher's contract in place that offers competitive salaries and supports the ongoing professional growth of teachers, the professional growth that they want and they need. Our system of teacher evaluation has finally been updated, get this, after 50 years. We have updated our teacher evaluation system after 50 years. The new system recognizes professional teaching competencies and standards, and it balances professional development support and constructive feedback to teachers with student performance as measured on our state assessments. We've taken steps to stabilize the system by reducing the number of underutilized schools, and following the board's vote last week, the moratorium on school closings for the next 5 years is in effect. We're investing heavily in our welcoming schools so that students have a better place to learn, better technology, and libraries, and basic amenities like air conditioning. Each school must have a library, social workers, and counselors. And these changes are taking where it matters most, not at the central office, not in alternate facilities, but in classrooms, right in our classrooms that have the direct benefit for children. We are making progress. A decade ago, our graduation rate was 44%. Last year, it was 61%. And this was up from 58% the year before. But we are currently on track and projected our graduation rate for 63% this year. This will be, as the mayor said, the highest graduation rate in the history of Chicago. We're not satisfied, but we do think this is an opportunity to send a postcard home. It's good news. Our attendance rates are improving. Year to date, for all students in our elementary and high schools, we project 92.9% attendance. Just 2 years ago, this represents a 1.6 increase over 2 years ago. That's an additional 4,000 students who are attending school regularly. With the adoption of the Common Core standards, high school rigor is increasing, and more of our students have entered and are taking and are passing advanced placement courses. Although this is progress that I'm the first to admit, that we're pleased with, I'm also the first to admit that we're nowhere near where we need to be. Test scores are rising steadily, but not fast enough and not high enough. We have fabulous teachers in Chicago. I know because I've seen them. They put in long hours under often difficult conditions. Their day is not over when the last student leaves the classroom. And for the great majority of our teachers, this is more than a job. And we know the significance, all of us here, of a teacher on our lives. It's simply wrong to place all of the problems of our schools with teachers. I was a teacher for many years, and I know firsthand the challenges, and I know how our teachers deal with those challenges that they confront each day. The problems of poverty and homelessness, inadequate health care, crime, violence, drugs, and under-resourced schools is a reality that many of our children face each day and what our teachers deal with as children come to school each day. I'm someone who grew up in public housing, and someone who grew up in poverty, and someone who attended under-resourced public schools. So I know firsthand what I've said throughout all of our process in the consolidations. Not only do I know firsthand, but I went on to teach in the communities and the neighborhoods where the challenges our families and children face each day is more than you can ever imagine. I know I ask a lot of our teachers, and they don't always receive the recognition and gratitude they deserve. But as the CEO of the system, I also know that I must balance these legitimate, real concerns against the pressing need to improve our public education system more rapidly. Our children have only one chance each year, and if they're denied that chance, they have a lost opportunity that they can never recapture or regain. No one can look at our schools today and say they're good enough. No one can look at the graduation rate and be satisfied. No one can look at our ACT scores and believe that our work is completed. We cannot say that this work is finished until each child in Chicago is successful. And that, my friends, will only happen when all of us accept responsibility. Parents, teachers, principals, community leaders, faith-based leaders, the police, our taxpayers, and our elected officials. So whatever has happened this past year, it's done. The collective bargaining agreements are settled. There's a moratorium on school closures for the next 5 years, and it is the beginning of a new school year in a few short months. There will be a beginning and a beginning and a beginning. It is a new beginning. We are putting the past behind us. It's time to turn the page. So, our vision for the Chicago's children is based on the core beliefs shared by most Chicagoans. First, we know that all of our children are capable of success. Second, we know that every child must have an equal access to a high-quality, rich, and powerful instruction, no matter what neighborhood they come from. Third, our children's well-being, the non-academic, must come first. If we are to make certain that our children are able to learn, we must make certain they are in school every day. We must make certain that they can see the blackboard. We must make certain that they're not suffering from a toothache. And our children's interests must come before politics, ahead of special interest, and of those interested in protecting and preserving the status quo. With these core beliefs in mind, we've developed a 5-year plan for the future of Chicago's public schools. And we're calling the plan the Next Generation Chicago's Children, because this is not just about students in schools. This work is really about the future of our city. Our plan is based on a simple but profound vision. Really kind of simple when you think about it. Let me share it with you. Our vision is that every student in every neighborhood will be engaged in a rigorous, well-rounded instructional program and will graduate prepared for college, for their career, and for life. We want not only to help develop scholars, but also to develop productive citizens. We want our children to grow into adulthood prepared with the skills they need and the values they need to contribute to their families and to their communities and to the greater society. Our plan depends on 5 key pillars to support that vision. First, again, we are going to insist on high standards, a rigorous curriculum, powerful instruction, for all schools, children regardless of their neighborhood, regardless of whether or not they speak English as the first language, and regardless of their diverse learning needs. We must go beyond the basics to ensure that our children are critical thinkers, effective communicators who evolve into responsible citizens. This includes a rededication and an understanding of the importance of the arts. I'm going to try again. The arts, physical education, and after-school activity in the total development of a child. Second, we need to support a support system that meets the non-academic needs of our children. We have to figure out how to remove the barriers to learning with a practice that promotes getting more students to school, health, safety, social and emotional development. Third, we need to continue, and I think this is the third because it sits in the middle, it's the most important pillar. We must continue to engage and empower families and communities. Parents must be equipped to advocate for their children, and we must identify and engage community partners in this work. Parents, families, policymakers, local businesses, and religious communities have a role to play in this empowerment. The work we do in schools can be strengthened by organizations that support students' academic, physical, social, and emotional development. We need to give parents a clear understanding of how to support their children's success at a very early age. My vision is one where parents and teachers are working together every single day for the benefit of the children in the classroom. This may not mean that a parent is in the schoolhouse every day, but it does mean that we can find the ways in which those parents support children. We need to ensure that the parents and all members of our school communities are offered meaningful pathways to engage with the school, and that all of the work of the district is transparent. Public schools belong to the citizens in the communities. Only by working together can we ensure our collective vision for schools where children actually have a joy for learning, and that learning is meaningful, engaging, and purposeful. The fourth pillar supports our plan to ensure that we recruit, identify, select, and support the most committed and talented workforce, our teachers and our principals. Our teachers and principals must be valued for their work, and their talents must be developed and supported. But they must also be held responsible for failing our children and rewarded when they are successful. You see, I know from experience that a positive learning environment doesn't just happen because we say we want it to happen. Students achieve when leaders support teachers, and teachers have the tools, the resources, and the time they need to teach. The final pillar of the plan is to develop the practices to ensure that we abide by sound fiscal, sound operational, and sound accountable systems. Responsibility and accountability are key concepts driving this plan, and everyone must be responsible and accountable. Parents expect it, and our taxpayers demand it. And we've created a scorecard with specific measures of yearly progress for each of the pillars. Our plan does more than just say, here's where we're going to be in 5 years. It sets the goals and measures the progress toward those goals for each year. The scorecard will be transparent and accessible to everyone. We have nothing to hide. Everyone in the city has an active role to play in the success of this ambitious plan. And it starts with those of us who work in the Chicago public schools. And I'm asking, just how many people here work at Chicago public schools? So it's starting with the people here. I'm asking each of our employees who works out of our central office at 125 South Clark Street to devote 1 hour, just 1 hour, each week to tutor or mentor a child at one of our schools. And this will mean that at least two extra adults will be in each of our schools for 1 hour every single week, with the consistency that that child needs to see, with the support that principal might need, and the support that teacher might need in the classroom. I'm asking each of you to join that effort. Whether you're a part of the business or the philanthropic community, or whether you're just a dedicated individual, you have the power to help define the future of our children, and we need you. The new school year provides all of us with the opportunity to work together. It's a time when what has been a contentious past year, and a time for us to recommit to collaboration and cooperation. We're all Chicagoans, and the education of our children is shared responsibility. Young people watch us. You know that from your children at home. They watch you, and they learn from your behaviors. So today I'm reaching out to everyone who believes that we can do this. I'm even reaching out to those who think we can't do it, and who may not trust and believe us. So much is riding on this success. I congratulate Karen Lewis on her re-election as the president of the Chicago Teachers Union. She and I have talked often, and I think she knows that we'll continue to work together toward the vision for our children. I'm not going to be wrapped in rhetoric that doesn't seem productive. Too old for that. To our business, philanthropic, and elected leaders, to our community leaders and our faith-based leaders, to our teachers in the classroom every day, and to the principals and the education advocates on every side, and above all, to our parents and our students, I absolutely commit to you that we will get this work done. I will push myself and my staff to make sure that every school in Chicago has the best conditions for learning, and that every child has the best opportunity to learn and to succeed. I condemn harsh, divisive rhetoric, and I will celebrate any and all who look beyond the differences of opinion and of style to work jointly toward the common goal that we have set in the next generation, Chicago's children. If we can finally bring about the deep and lasting change in our schools, we will guarantee the promise to our children for a better life, for a better prepared young people who can enter into their career, into life, and the future of our city. Our young people want success. They really do. After school, I recently walked a safe passage route with several of our students from Fenger High School. And as I walked with two of the students who happened to be seniors, James and Savon, we had one of the most powerful conversations that I've had since I accepted this responsibility to lead the Chicago Public Schools. You see, these two young men come from a community in our city that does not give many African American men a chance at a future, any future. But James and Savon are both graduating this year. James is going to a highly selected university to study business management, and Savon will study electrical engineering. But what impressed me most, I was really happy, obviously, that they graduated and they were going to really great colleges and doing wonderful things. But what impressed me most was their post-college plans. They've pledged to each other and to their communities that after earning their college degrees, that they're going to return to their communities and improve the neighborhood that they grew up in. And when I asked James, we walked the whole route, and actually when one of them popped into their house, he popped back out. And didn't I pop up on the porch and say, "Where are you going?" Because he was supposed to go home, and he went to do homework with another child. But that's why this conversation was so empowering for me, because when I asked James, I said, "Why are you suddenly going to come back to the community and attempt to repair the neighborhood you live in?" And he said, I'm quoting, he said, "As an African-American male, I no longer believe what others believed about me." Whew. It made me think of my twin grandsons, Jalen and Khalil. These are children who are clearly identified and defined as children of privilege, but they will confront the similar realities that this conversation brought to my attention. They will confront similar realities of Savon and James. And Savon and James reminded me that I must continue to have these conversations, as all parents must, with their children. They reminded me that we have to have those conversations with the children in every single one of our schools in Chicago. James and Savon and tens of thousands of other Chicago public school graduates are raising the bar on what's possible for Chicago. Their achievements challenge us to work together on their behalf. There is nothing more important. And for them and for all the children who will follow in their footsteps, I do accept this challenge. I invite you to join me. But I have one request, just one. Well, two, because I asked you to please join me in the tutoring and mentoring. But I do have another request. Just suspend your disbelief. Don't give up on us. Give us your support. Celebrate the victories that will only multiply. Our children are clearly ready to succeed, and it's up to us to see that they do. They're counting on us. They are the next generation. They are Chicago's future. And we owe to them nothing but our very best. I thank you for listening to me.
Mayor was so happy with the speech he left. Well done. All right. Just bring him up. Whatever you got, Ernestina, bring him up. My tap dancing days are over. There we go. Oh, I have a question for you.
Sure.
While we're waiting, do we still have the principal today thing going on? Do we?
Principal for a day?
Yeah, do we still have that?
It apparently has been left to lie at a shelf, but we were going to resurrect that.
All right. One of my honors. I walked into my elementary school and I said, "Who shrunk the gym?" All right. We have Sandy. It's true. Sandy Blau. How is graduation rate calculated, i.e., against freshmen entering 4 years before or against senior class total? Boy, tough question right off the bat.
Actually, it's not calculated either way. Since 1999, we've been calculating graduation rates on a 5-year cohort group, and we do use the freshman on track system that we have so that we can check all of the indicators of the progress of children moving forward.
Very good. Our perpetual questionnaire, Mr. Mark Weiermiller, sort of like, well, Common Core and other federal mandates concern many losing local control. What are your thoughts for those who oppose Common Core? You know that, okay, I thought you made it up.
No. Our state has adopted Common Core. I think that anything less than high expectations and high standards for performance as well as skill development shortchanges certain children. The Common Core actually raises the bar to a point that it's what I want for my grandchildren, so it's what I want for every kid. And I think that the members of, the folks in our state want the same thing in states across the country. Lastly, Common Core also provides an opportunity for our teachers to teach differently to those new skills and to those new standards. So I totally support it.
Next question is from Tracy Stansels. Tracy has 2 questions. I'll take the top one. A CPS parent, Whitney Young in Alcott. Are there specific plans in place for the school buildings that will be closed in the fall?
So we are engaging, we have conversations going on all during the process, and now that the board has voted, there are people who have already reached out to us to consider opportunities for repurposing those buildings. There are elected officials who've reached out to us, some non-for-profits, and those conversations are going on. We want to, as quickly as possible, obviously, get those schools off of our books and get them repurposed for communities in ways that enrich the community.
Okay. No, okay, well, they keep coming in, trickling in. This could be the River Wards. Okay, hold on. That's for you old Chicagoans, All right, here we go. Bridget Gaynor, County Board Commissioner, right over here. Many of the city's children are educated in Catholic or charter schools. Is there a regular engagement with these systems to share knowledge?
We are regularly engaged, and I have made that a top priority, particularly with the charter schools, because charter schools, for the most, they're public schools, and they're our partners. I have not, in the last, wow, it's only been 7 months, it feels like much longer, have not had an opportunity to engage in the Catholic schools, but it is clearly on our radar to reach out. I firmly believe, and in every district that I've led, that doesn't matter, really, where the children are educated. They're all our children, and we just want to align standards and an opportunity so that there's an equity for all of our children. So that's something we will do with the parochial schools, but we do have a partnership and outreach with our charter partners.
Very good. Last question, and is that Tina or Tiny McLaughlin? Tiny. Too easy. All right. Glad to have you. Obviously, perfect name for you. Ziegler Investment Bank. Okay. What is CPS doing to, it's a great word, Tiny, if your handwriting could, invest? Incent. Obviously, Chicago Public School graduate. To incent the best teachers, incent. Okay, best teachers and principals to work in the toughest schools with the greatest need. Good question, Tiny.
So our principals, we have something called a Principal Quality Initiative, which is clearly identifying those principals with the greatest and highest skills, those who really know how to move schools forward. Our local school committees are the people who select the principals, but we're making certain that we have a pool that is clearly able to be aligned to the schools with the needs, to match the needs. So I may be a principal who really has extreme knowledge in turnaround. And so we want to make sure that we partner those principals with those schools in order to be able to move those schools. The incentivization, is that a real word? Sounds good though, right? And since you misspelled the word, I can. So to incentivize teachers and parents, we really need teachers and principals to ensure that we have set the accountability bar with a common framework so that it is equitable in terms of the way in which we provide incentives. Last year, if you will recall, we did, I think it was over 60 principals that were identified and received incentive bonuses for the work that they had done on improving schools. And we plan to do that even deeper and richer for both teachers and principals moving forward.
How about a big hand of applause?